Hello everyone, and welcome back to GameSaga's Let's Play of Chrono Trigger. As we saw in the first video, we left off at the Cathedral in 600 AD, and that's where we're getting ready to go now. And here we are inside. And I was looking for the thing you have to click on, but you have to talk to that NPC first. And there's a little shiny object, it's a hairpin. It's the one that the queen had lost. And these guys turn into enemies that you gotta take out. Naga-ets they're called. And they have a pretty good amount of health, so it's gonna take a while to kill them. And they do a super slow spell, which is irritating, but it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. As you can see, it only does about 1 per hit. I thought that was weird that Luca, when she's in melee range, does a swing of her gun instead of still shooting. Don't see that very often. In RPGs, usually ranged attackers always attacking at range, even if they're in the melee range. And I decided I was going to use Cyclone on these two since they were grouped together. I wanted to get all 3 of them together, but they didn't want to cooperate, so I just used it on the 2. And it only did 20 damage or so a piece, so it didn't do a whole lot. And I did it again. This to try to whittle down their health. Now if I had spent a lot of time grinding to get my levels up and all that, I probably could have taken them out a lot quicker, but I didn't want to do all that, so I'm just going with the pace that it has set for me. And we've got one of them left now, so we're almost done with this fight. It'd be nice if I could just use one attack and get rid of all 4 of them at one time, but that didn't happen, obviously. Alright, that one's dead, so that's it for that fight. And we learned Flame Toss and Fire Whirl, which is a dual attack for Chrono and Luca after that. That would have come in handy for that fight, but oh well. And there is a frog character, and his name of course is Frog, though you can name him whatever you want, like all playable characters. And he's one of my favorite characters in the game. And he has a pretty significant role for what we're about to do to save the queen and that sort of thing. And that will factor in a little bit later on with Frog. Later on in the game. He tells us to search for a hidden door, and like in any RPG you should just run around and press buttons till you find something, but in this case what we have to do is hit the organ there and play that, and that triggers the hidden door that just opened up on the right side of the screen. And this leads us into the back portion of the cathedral. There's a lot of enemies in here, you can avoid most of them. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Didn't feel like fighting them, I just wanted to get the treasure and get out of here, get out of this spot that I was in. That's what I'm doing now, is running around to get the treasure. And we got a maiden suit there, that's an armor piece for a female character. In this case it would go to Luca. We got something called a Naga-et bromide. I have no idea what a bromide is, but apparently the enemies there did not like us taking that. These are called henches, and they are strong to physical attacks, so ideally you should use your attacks to take them out, preferably magic based ones. But I don't have a lot of MP for my characters right now, so I can't really do a whole lot with that. But I did use Fire Whirl on 2 of them. Should have hit the 3rd, but it did not. for some reason. And like you can see, they're only doing 15 damage per hit, which is not very much. But we took them out, and now we're going to move on. But first we're going to equip the maiden suit on Luca. I don't know why I hit save there, I think I just accidentally did that. No, I was checking to see if I should use the accessory for her and checking Frog's equipment as well. And Chronos, just to make sure I didn't leave anything off. And we're going to proceed up the screen here. You hit that skull there, it lowers the spike, so you can go in here. These soldiers don't really say a whole lot, but you can get a power tab there. And I'm going to use that on Chrono, since he's the main character. And like I said, these soldiers don't say a whole lot. They just tell you about the rescuing the queen, and one of them talks about a treasure that's hidden in some room with something about Magus. And we got a new weapon there for Chrono. Now I was checking Frog to see if he could use Chrono's weapons, but then I remembered that despite the fact that they both use swords, they can't use the same sword, which is strange. But anyways, I don't know how I triggered that gargoyle looking dude there. They're called Diablos. I wasn't even near him, but he got pulled into the fight somehow. But Chrono can take him out with one hit, like so. These Nashers are a pain, they take a lot of hits, they have 90 HP, so it's gonna take a few turns to kill them. But fortunately they're not strong against physical attacks like the henches are, so it won't take that long. Luca though, of course, she's weak, so Chrono can tear them up with that new sword he got. And we're going to the right side of the area now to get the treasure that's on the right side. And this is a strange scene right here. This is one of the few places in this game where you can actually talk to enemies. Which normally, of course, you can't do that. In RPGs in general, not just Chrono Trigger. And they basically talk about eating humans, and they mention the Chancellor, and then one of them goes to another room to take his place. Then we see the king, queen, and a soldier, but what we'll find out momentarily is that they are not what they appear to be. And we got some treasure in the same room as well. And she mentions Yakra, which we don't really know who that is yet, but we'll find out. And they turn into some Nashers when you try to leave. And I didn't realize it, but my health is really low at this point. I probably should have healed up before this, but oh well. I don't think they are going to kill me, so. And even if they did, I had revives on me, so it wasn't a big deal. And that's it for them. And I got another revive from that fight actually, and right after this I decided to heal them up, Chrono and Luca, so to try to prevent them from dying, hopefully. Alright, that's it with the right side, so now we're gonna go up the middle here. I was waiting for that enemy to pass there so I could get around them. And we're on the next part of this area. And this is a save point here to save the game. Always a good idea to do that, like I've mentioned before. I didn't use a shelter there because I didn't think I already needed it. Plus I wanted to wait till I cleared out the area of enemies. And I got another one in the treasure chest there. And for some reason I decided to go back to the left. I don't know why. I guess I just decided to do the left first. And you can kill those bats that were down there, but you don't have to. You hit the skull there, they triggers more bats to appear. And we go out here, there's some henches and a bat that appear. And like before, the henches are strong to physical attacks, so they're gonna be a pain to deal with. The bat though, those are very weak, they only have 18 health. I mean, look at us, killed one in one hit, which is pretty sad because she's pretty weak. And they're all gone. And we're gonna get this treasure here. Heal and a tonic. And there's another hench you can avoid or fight. And this skull here triggers some spikes over there to the left, which will go towards that momentarily. But first we gotta fight these guys. Hench comes out of nowhere, and there's a mad bat there as well. I probably should have had Luca attack the bat and the Chrono attack the hench, but oh well. Not that big a deal. And I decided to use Flame Toss on him to kill him in one hit instead of trying to waste time getting everybody to do physical attacks. And we got X Strike there, which is a dual attack for Frog and Chrono. That would come in handy when we face the boss in this area. And we got another fight here in the middle. 3 henches and 2 Diablos. Now ideally we should be able to use Luca's Flame Toss on the henches to get rid of all 3 at one time, but they're not going to cooperate, as you'll see momentarily here. Now use Slurp Cut on them, which is Frog's ability, and it didn't do very much since it's physical and not a magic attack. I see they're all in a line, which is what you're supposed to do for Flame Toss, but it only let me target 2 of them, so that's what I did. But there's only one of these guys left, and he's not going to take very long to kill. Probably should probably kill him on the next hit. Yep. And got a couple levels out of that as well. And we got another sword out of the treasure chest there. This one is for Frog, that's not for Chrono. Despite the fact, like I said, they both use swords. And you hit the organ again to trigger another door. This one door is off screen though, so you have to figure out where it is. And I went to go save it because I know that what's getting ready to happen. Now I'm going to use the shelter and save it again. Alright, now we're ready to move on to the next part of this area. I ended up having to fight the bats here, which I didn't want to do, but that's alright, they're pretty weak. But then, this happens. Yeah. 2 misses in a row. How is that possible? Well, Chrono and Frog, they're the 2 best characters at this point in the game, including Marley. Between all 4 of them that we've had so far. I think you can usually one-shot those guys. And there you see the skull there triggers more of the bat stuff here. Just avoid them. And speaking of avoiding, I'm going to try to avoid all these guys, but I'm not going to succeed because those 2 henches come up. I gotta fight 2 of them and then 2 of the Nagaets. Which is not a good combination, because they're both pretty strong. I'll kill them off and then save the game after we do that. And proceed to the next area. And they're going to use a slow attack on me to make things take longer. As if this fight doesn't take long enough as is. He had 1 hit point left. 1 hit point. That's pretty sad. Anyways, there we go to the save point. Now it's not letting me save, even though I'm standing right on top of the thing. I don't know why. Tried a couple times there, it didn't work. I moved off of it, then went back on it. And finally decided to let me save. I don't know why I had to do it 3 times, but oh well. And here we are, what we've seen with the Queen and the Chancellor. And Frog basically tells the Queen to get lost, to get out of the way so she doesn't get hurt. And we gotta fight the Chancellor here, who is actually this dude, who is Yakra, or Yakra, however you say it. I have a Yeti bowl thing, I don't really know what he's supposed to be. Strange looking character for sure. So as I mentioned, we're going to use X-Strike on him, which does a lot of damage. Over 150 per hit. And we'll have Luca use Flame Toss since her physical attacks don't do a whole lot of damage. And she'll be our healer with the use of items if we have to heal up. That attack right there where he attacks your entire group isn't the one you gotta watch out for that much. That's the one he's gonna do in a little bit here that's more damaging. And pretty much just repeat the process here with what your 3 characters. Needle Spin, that's the one you gotta watch out for. Because it does 40 some damage. Which, even on Frog, that's what, 3-4 hits and he's dead? If he gets hit with that many times. And you don't heal, of course. But yeah, just keep using X-Strike and Flame Toss, and Yakra will be dead in a few turns. And you nearly killed Chrono there, but I killed him with that hit, so I didn't have to heal Chrono yet. And now we're gonna get the treasure chest here. Got a level for Chrono from that fight. Queen comes back in to say thanks, basically. And we're gonna go back to the castle here momentarily, since that's where the Queen is supposed to be. We got a mid-ether for recovery magic, and there is the real Chancellor, who was stuffed inside a treasure chest. So that would explain the behavior of the Chancellor earlier. And you go down here and talk to Lene, and she teleports you to the castle, so you don't have to go through the Cathedral again and the forest either. And we have a scene here where Chancellor says that we need to create a criminal justice system to prevent crimes like the fake Chancellor's kidnapping of Lene from happening. And that's going to factor into the game here in a little bit, once we get to that scene. But we haven't gotten there yet, obviously. And I just talked to everybody again, just in case. And the Queen mentions Marley, and wondering what had happened to her. And of course she had disappeared earlier in the game. So we gotta go find her. That's what our next step is to do. But we're going to go heal up until we talk to Frog. And Frog basically says it's his fault that the queen got kidnapped, and he leaves the group for the time being. And Lucas started to like Frog, even though initially she didn't like him because she was grossed out by him because he was a frog. And we're in the night quarters here, and we're gonna take a snooze, as the game calls it, to recover our hit points and magic points. Which you can see there, they are recovered. And now we're going to leave out of here and go try to find Marley. And that was actually a mistake on my part, because you're not supposed to go where I want to go. I'm going to end up going to the canyon, which is where you first come into this area after Marley disappears. So I forgot what I was supposed to do at this point. Like I said, I haven't played this game all the way through in a number of years, so I couldn't really remember what to do. But I knew I wanted to go to the market and buy some shelters, because I didn't have very many of those. And also I'm going to get some equipment. I usually like to keep multiples of 5 or 10, buying that kind of quantity. Of course, later in the game, when I get enough gold, I can just buy maximum quantity for everything, but that won't be till later on. And I bought helmets for both characters and a new gun for Luca to try to make her attacks a little bit more powerful. And we're going to sell off some of this old equipment since we don't need it anymore. And I was keeping the armor for the time being, just in case that Marley needed any of it, and we'll get her back in the party. And like I said, I decided to go to Truce Canyon because I couldn't remember where I was supposed to look for Marley. But you're not actually supposed to go here. You're supposed to go to stay in the castle and go up to the room where she disappeared. And then you come to the canyon afterwards, but that's all I was doing. I was trying to look around there. I'm like, I thought there was supposed to be something there, but there's not yet. So I'm going to go off of here and go back to the castle. I really wish you could skip the forest, because it's pretty much a waste of time to do all this. But oh well. Doesn't take that long if you get to avoid all the enemies, like I did there. And we're back in the castle now, and I went to the wrong part of the screen, because that actually goes down to the kitchen, and that's not where I wanted to be. You need to go up to Marley's room. That's up through here. Technically it's Queen Linnea's room, I guess, but Marley was the one that was there that we're looking for. And you see Marley reappear there. And they're talking about her disappearance and that sort of thing. And Luca calls her Nadia, Princess Nadia, and she realizes that they figured out who she actually is. And she still wants to be called Marley, though. And I accidentally hit the button too quick there. She asked you if you would have accompanied her around the fair if we had known her true identity. And I don't know if it really matters what you say or not, but I was going to say wrong, because I think it might have an effect on the part of the game that we're going to be getting to momentarily. But I can't remember if it does or not, so anyways, I inadvertently did that. And I was switching out Marley's equipment there, since she's in our group again. And I couldn't remember what kind of weapon she used, so I was checking that. She uses a bow, so. I was just curious, because like I said, I couldn't remember. And we'll see a scene here with the Queen and King and all that. And they basically say that she could be Linnea's twin and all that. And we're gonna go back to the canyon. Now that's where our goal is to go. And we gotta, even though we went to the side to avoid these guys, we're gonna have to fight them anyway. And I'm waiting for them to line up for Cyclone, like I did in the previous video. To take them all out in one hit. And that should be it for the fights for that. Managed to avoid the blue eaglets, I think, that were there. And here we are at the canyon. I'm gonna save the game again, just in case. Avoid those guys. And try to avoid these guys too with this brown dude who's called a Polly, I don't know how that's pronounced, but he appeared out of nowhere. And then Chrono one-shots him. And the green imp is a little bit tougher than the blue ones, so Marley and Luca can't really do a whole lot to it. They only do about 20 each, so it takes at least 2 of them to kill one of those. Or 2 turns with one character. And this is what I was looking for earlier. That is a gate. And that's going to be sending us back to the present day. Momentarily here. With Luca's magic rod thing, which he calls a gate key. Doesn't look like any kind of key I've ever seen, but I guess that was maybe what a key looked like in the Middle Ages and that sort of time frame. And later on, after that, when the present day time is. And basically that allows you to travel through the gates at your will instead of having to rely on a machine like Luca's telepod. And they hop in the gate or portal, whatever you want to call it, and go through the little time travel scene there. And we're back in the present day now. Same place we left off at the telepods in the square. In the square at the fair. That's not confusing or anything. They apologize to Marley, and Marley says that was fun, and Luca says that she has to go do some work, so, and Marley had invited them to dinner at the castle, so she tells Chrono to take Marley home. So that's what we're gonna do. But first I decided to check in with Melkor to see if I could afford the load sword, which I did not have enough gold for that, so even after selling off the extra armor that I didn't need anymore, I still didn't have enough. And he's still asking us to sell him Marley's pendant, which we're not going to do that. He mentions something about living on having a different place in the game where he lives. That will come into play later on. And we're back in 1000 AD now, present day. This is the forest for present day. And I forgot that I hadn't gone in here yet for present day, so I wanted to get the treasures and that sort of thing that you could find. And there is a power tab right there that we're going to use for Chrono, as usual. And that actually increases power by 2 instead of the usual 1. I guess sometimes it could be a random amount, or maybe it just has a random chance of being 2 instead of 1. I don't really know. And we're going to avoid that enemy there and try to avoid these other ones as well. Those mushroom-looking things are enemies as well. So if you touch them, you'll activate them, and you'll have to fight them. There you see another one of the black treasure chests that we can't open yet. And that's pretty much it for the forest. We're done here. And we're gonna go in the castle and have a scene here. And somehow the Chancellor comes in and automatically knows that we're back. I don't know how, but he does. And he accuses Chrono of kidnapping Nadia, or Marley, whatever you want to call her. And he calls for the guards to come take Chrono away. And Marley's protesting and tells them to stop, and initially they obey her because she's royalty and the Chancellor's not. And the Chancellor insists on them arresting Chrono. And here we are at the court scene in the game. This is what I was talking about in the last video with the fair scene with Marley. What you do there has an effect on this particular scene here, as they will mention things from that. And the Chancellor is the prosecutor in the case, and our defense attorney or lawyer, whatever you want to call him, is Pierre, whoever Pierre is. He's some random guy. And you see the purple looking guys off to the sides of the screen? Don't they look kind of like really small versions of the Sentinels from X-Men? That's why I think they look like, you know. And we're going to hear the case here about Chrono and his kidnapping Marley or that sort of thing. And of course, Chrono didn't actually kidnap her. But the Chancellor has his own motives to try to pin things on Chrono, and he's going to ask you different questions. And they say they have a witness that shows that I bumped into her, which that's actually true, because if you don't, Marley will let us run around forever. You have to progress the game. So unfortunately that one is unavoidable. He talks about facts that will make the Chrono's character come into question. And Pierre says they have a witness who will vouch for Chrono's character. That being a good character. And it's the little girl, and we had to rescue her cat. And she says thanks, and that's pretty much it for her. Pierre says that Chrono deserves a medal for rescuing a cat. I don't think they give medals out for that, but I might be wrong. But of course this was taking place supposedly in 1000 AD, so maybe they did things differently back then. And Chancellor asks us if we were tempted by Marley's royalty and all that, or fortune and whatnot. And he asks you twice, and you can say whatever you want, but what you did at the fair will determine how the jury votes for you. And so far we've gotten 3 not guilties, which is a pretty good result. And man, those jury people, jurors, whatever you want to call them, they look pretty weird, don't they? I mean, what's up with their hair? They look like old versions of Beavis from the Beavis and Butthead cartoon. And we had 1 guilty vote and 6 not guilty. Which I think that's probably the best I've ever done with the court scene. And the judge says that even though we didn't kidnap her, we're still going to be thrown in jail for running off of her. Which I guess that's a crime, according to this judge anyway. So he sends us Chrono to 3 days of solitary confinement. And Marley comes in to protest, and the king basically tells her to shut up and to leave things alone. And Chrono gets taken away. And that's it, the court scene. We see a bridge here that's going to come into effect a little bit later on in our next video. And Chancellor and a guard is escorting Chrono to the prison area. Dungeon, whatever you want to call it. And that's the supervisor there, just got up off the chair. And Chancellor says that Chrono is a terrorist, and says that he's supposed to be executed, which is not true. And the supervisor said he didn't get any paperwork about it. And the Chancellor says, well, probably just got lost. And here comes some guards and the other guards to take Chrono into his cell. And they have weapons, unlike the blue outfitted guards. And here we are in Chrono's cell. There's a save point there and some food on the bed, and that's pretty much it. And this is going to be the end of this video for part 2 of the Let's Play, and we will try to escape out of the prison cell in our next video. So thanks for watching.